I would have the privilege now to introduce our resource person, CMA Dr. Paritosh Basu sir. Dr. Basu is moving ahead with experience in industry and management education for about 34 and 10 years respectively. He is regarded as a scholarly academician and a digital gospeler. Presently, he is engaged in research, consulting, and teaching activities. His ongoing research projects are on digital transformation, crowdfunding, trust blockchain, and CBDC. His book, Digital Transformation, A Prismatic View, has been published in March 2022. He is now serving as a Senior Director, Services of Strategy Consulting Private Limited and an adjunct faculty member of IIM Kozhikode. Dr. Basu was conferred with Fellow of All India Management Association in June 2021 in recognition of his achievements and contributions in the field of professional management. He has received Lifetime Achievement Award from Presscon Global in 2016. He has completed 9 years engagement in June 2022 as a senior professor of finance and chairperson MBA Law of NMIMS University School of Business Management, Mumbai. He has chaired 4 World Blockchain and AI Summits held in Moscow, Dubai, and India. He has delivered keynote speeches and lead panel discussion sessions in more than 200 national and international summits, conferences, seminars, and webinars. He has authored 4 case studies jointly with professors of IIM and a foreign university, which are available from Harvard and Ivy Publishing. He is a sought after speaker and many moments what to say. So thank you so much, sir. We are really honored and privileged to have you with us today in today's program, sir. So
Thank
now
you,
over, thank you, sir. So over to now Paritosh C. Basu, sir, for his address.
Thank you, Indrakshi.
To supplement Indrakshi, a most to the audience, and you will enthrall the audience. I have entered me
Shall I comment?
Yes, sir,
yeah, please.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Murthy, Madam Sucharita, and Indrakshi. Indrakshi, thanks for your introduction and kind words. I do not know whether I'm really capable of addressing this webinar, but I will make my efforts and essentially what I will do, I will share my experience with you. Can you see my video? Can you see my presentation? Can you see my presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, just so what I will do, I shall essentially share my thoughts in a very succinct manner. I assume that I have about total 50 minutes with the audience. I'm very encouraged with the larger participation. I will finish my talk within 30-35 minutes, and another 15 minutes will keep on interacting with the audience. What I will request all of you to kindly share your questions by noting down the slide number, which I have shared with you in the slide. So you can put your question in the chat box, and Indrakshi will help me at the end of the talk by prompting your question. You can also open your video and share questions with me, and I will try and respond to your questions. Let me acknowledge that I shall do couple of use couple of graphics, and those graphics I have borrowed from available sources. So I'm grateful and thankful to those who have contributed for me to propagate knowledge. So I would like to speak only from my personal experience of writing articles and whatever I have written so far in my life. So I have only one presentation flow, and that is my personal experience. You can see a glimpse of some of my recent articles. One was on digital transformation of banking with blockchain technology. The second one is the Kautilya's Niti and verses for treasury management. I have also a personal video channel, YouTube channel, where there are about 60 videos. You can look at those videos at your leisure. You can connect with me in LinkedIn. I have at the moment about 19,700 plus connections in LinkedIn. You can also connect with me through Twitter, that is present X handle. But let me tell you one thing. If you connect with me LinkedIn and send me a message, you will be rest assured that not a single message will go unreplied. That's my assurance. And in my connection, there are more than 3,000 people from around the world of all 5 continents. So you can connect with me jolly well there. Now let me share with you my first slide. And this slide is on Newton. You can see the picture of Newton, and the saying goes, millions saw the apple falling, Newton asked why. Was he thinking critically? It is up to you to think through and decide. Now, Newton discovered 3 laws of physics: law of inertia, law of mass and acceleration, and law of motion. Albert Einstein said he is the smartest man ever lived in this earth. That is the compliment Einstein gave to Newton. Why he was called smart, we'll talk a little later. Now, the question which I have just now talked to you, was he thinking critically? What is the definition of critical thinking? According to Oxford Dictionary, critical thinking means the objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. So whether we need to form a judgment or not, that's a point which we authors and writers must think through. But unless we form our own judgment and gain and learn from the judgment of other authors, writing would be difficult for us. So critical thinking helps us in 2 ways. One is pattern recognition, our brain's own ability to link new ideas together. That is what we need to put through in our paper. And risk-taking, the courage to bring those new ideas into the world. And here our medium of expression is in writing, which will be published in various places. And once it is out in public mode, you will not be called back, you will not be able to call back your words. So the publisher will be definitely doing a lot of checkings, etc. and editing. But at the end of the day, articles remains your own. So coming back to Newton, when Newton asks why the apple is falling and not going into lateral direction or not going up, he was doing a self-learning. In Newton's time, there was no Google. There were hardly much of books to think through. And in present time, authors have many things, and your readers also have many sources of learning for asynchronous. Asynchronous learning means when you are not there, you are holding the hand of the reader through your book, and you are invisibly present with him or her who is reading your article. So either you are giving knowledge or you are giving infotainment, that is entertaining his mind and his faculties with your information that you are presenting. So why do writers think? Why thinking is necessary? That I have already presented to you through Newton's way of thinking, that ultimately Newton discovered some laws which help us to now fly by an aircraft, and the spacecraft goes to Chandrayaan and etc. So pattern recognition and risk-taking. So coming to our world of small world of writing, why do we writers think? We think for making our readers think more. That means we, the writers, who have to think, because what we will write, that will make the readers to think more. Our objective is to provoke the readers to explore more, because knowledge is a continuous process. What is knowledge of today either proved wrong or improved tomorrow. So it's a continuous process of exploration. So through our writing, we provoke people to learn more. We stimulate the reader's thinking process. That means we excite them, we stimulate them. Why to think, how to think, when to think, what to think, in what way to understand and appreciate from our thinking process. And finally, we encourage and excite readers to read more. Either he reads more my articles, which will be published in future or published in the past, or whatever bibliography we have given, he will go through not only my article, but also the references which you have given in my article. That is the point. So essentially, whatever I write must make my reader to think more, to get excited to learn more, and I encourage him to read more. So if you believe in yourself, anything is possible. Here, anything means your good article, your meaningful article, your impactful article, so on and so forth. Coming to the craft of writing, I'll share with you some quotations which are self-explanatory. Albert Einstein said, creativity is seeing what others see and thinking what no one else ever thought. That is what Newton did. He saw the apple falling, but he did a lot of thinking. An unknown author wrote, the craft of writing is the art of thinking. So time and again, the word thinking is coming in my talk so far, because the theme of today's talk is craft of writing. So in the craft of writing, the first thing is the think. The art of thinking is equal to the craft of writing. Writing to me is simply thinking through my fingers. That means what I write, I not only think in my brain, my fingers also think. That means not only what I think gets transformed and transferred through my words today, through my fingers to the laptop computer or whatever through I write. So when I write, my fingers gives me a reverse signal that, hey, you are not writing correctly, think more, ponder over more, analyze more, understand more. So Isaac Asimov wrote that he is a fiction writer, but he wrote that you have to think through your fingers. Tell your story with your whole heart. Unless you're passionate and your heart is there with you, you will not be able to write what you want to write. So this is one lady called Brené Brown wrote about what is writing. You make all sorts of assumptions because we don't have the courage to ask questions. This is Miguel Ruiz wrote. He is the famous author of a book called 4 Agreements with Yourself to Reclaim Your Own Power. So these gentlemen said that you don't become an author unless you have courage to ask yourself questions. And the moment you stop asking questions to yourself, you believe on assumptions, and your assumptions may not be validated by data or past research, or may not be having a bearing with life. So living on assumptions, if you write certain articles, that may not be correct. Of course, we make hypotheses. Those hypotheses in research papers are essentially assumptions we build on after theoretical study of what all knowledge have been added on the subject in the past. So assumptions are at times good and useful, but assumptions are at times detrimental to the craft of writing papers. Effective questions bring insight, which fuels curiosity, which cultivates wisdom. So unless you question yourself, unless you question the whole world by empirical study and taking inputs, you may not be a good writer. You can say, Dr. Basu, we are not writing research paper. We are writing articles. But here again, you may not be writing a research paper, whether empirical or secondary database research. but your paper has to be on a substantial foundation. And that foundation will be created by the past writings, your own study, your own thought process, your own viewpoints, your own questions, and your own answers, your own reflections. Mark Almond said, I like situations that force me to rethink things. So this gentleman, Almond, he didn't stop only thinking, he also started rethinking before he writes. And finally, Nobel laureate author writes, John Steinbeck, the craft of writing is the art of penetrating other minds with the figures that are in your own mind. That means you have some thoughts in your mind. Through your writing, you will be put across those and penetrate the mind of others so that you not only give some infotainment, but also excite him to explore more, read more, and write more. And thus how knowledge gets added to the world body of knowledge. So if we remember these few quotes, we are done with the craft of writing. But let us demystify the craft of writing one after the other. So, what and how of craft of writing? The craft of writing is the art of thinking, exploring, creating. When you are writing, obviously you are creating something. Communicating, you are communicating with your readers. Painting pictures with words. Essentially, any artist or any creator paints pictures like a singer paints pictures in the word with Shur, Tal, and Loy. You as an author, like Mr. Murthy has said, paint pictures with a balanced approach of knowledge that you have learned and knowledge which you have created and you want to share. Creating and adding value to the global body of knowledge. This is the most important thing, that unless you are adding a little bit of your own knowledge, your own viewpoints, your own thoughts, your article will be considered a complete borrowed concept. And readers once, twice, thrice will tolerate you, but after that they will discard. So you have to essentially give your own thought processes. You have to have a dedicated effort and practice for sharpening your skill and bring out the craftsman in you. Nobody is a craftsman. Think of a carpenter or a sculptist. Day one, he doesn't become a craftsman. He practices, he sharpens his skill. You should be having an urge to attain the craft of writing, inspires to think, reflect more. The craft of writing of yours should inspire not only yourself to think more for the next article, but also your readers to think more. What are the 3 P's of master craftsmanship? The master craftsmanship 3 P's are passion, perseverance, and practice. You should be passionately attached to the topic you are writing, and you should be passionately attached to contributing to the body of knowledge. You should have perseverance, which is of course necessary for all trades, and you must practice, because practice makes a person a good craftsman. Like any craft, writing also calls for patience and dexterity. Of course, your first article will be thrown away by readers with terrible criticisms, like that of any actor or a singer. You should be accepting your criticisms with open arms, and that is your makers of your success story, those criticisms. Writing calls for enthusiasm to improve by acceptance of criticisms and feedbacks. And the more I write, the better I will be in clearly and concisely expressing our thoughts and ideas. You did not publish, but you keep writing. Today, you have LinkedIn, where you can publish your thoughts. Check how many people react to your thoughts. Check how many people give comments. Check how many people give criticism. So keep writing, keep getting criticism, keep improving your craftsmanship. Now, what are the approaches which you should have to become a good writer? The blue words are borrowed approaches and the last two are my own. Write what you want to read. This is a very good taste of approach. If you feel that I should not read about this, think how your readers may not also find your writing relevant if you yourself do not want to read about that subject. So relevance is important, and the first test of it is that you should be reading it first. Create a sense of wonder, like any good short stories of Gurudev Rabindranath or Leo Tolstoy or any author, Charles Dickens. An article is not a full research paper, it's a short story. Unless you create a sense of wonder at the end through your conclusions or through your contributions and your own inputs into the article, you can't create a sense of wonder. You can't create a sense of infotainment. You can't provoke the reader to explore more, to think more, to write more. And the more you generate the conflict about your writing, more it is better. But the conflict should not be for wrong reasons. Wrong reasons means it should not violate certain principles of law, certain principles of sociology, certain principles of good sense and good human being principles. That means you should not get into controversies which are socially not seen to be good. And I don't want to explain more because you know what I'm talking about. Don't write to get published and grab the reader. Your objective is not to publish and grab the reader. At times, best of the best articles are not read. Those are considered to be best of the best knowledge additions to the world, because a Nobel laureate's papers are read by 99% people after it gets the Nobel Prize, and just 1% reads before the Nobel Prize is given. So don't write for getting a reward, getting a publication. Write to satisfy yourself first. Be captivating or memorable. You should be approaching your writing in a manner that you should captivate your reader. You should capture your reader's attention till the last line and last word is read, including the bibliography and bibliography. Keep the reader turning pages. First page, he should not stop reading. Your orchestration, your linkage, carry forward of interest should be that the reader should read and turn pages till the end. Attain the attributes of a good human being before anything else. Believe me, if you are not a good human being, you are not a good author. And I don't need to explain what needs to be a good human being. And if you are a little known author, and if you have bad name in the market or in general knowledge or in social media, in any case, you will be expelled from your authorship, howsoever good you are, writer you are. So be a good human being. And the last one is very, very important. Write what you believe and believe what you write. Unless you write what you believe and unless you believe what you write, you cannot be truthful to yourself about the knowledge you are adding to the world of knowledge. You cannot be truthful to the readers also because you yourself are not truthful to yourself. If it doesn't pass your conscience, your vivek, your heart and mind and brain, if it doesn't get past, you do not get satisfied, how can you think of winning the heart, brain and mind of your readers? So write what you believe and believe what you write. Look at this picture of this gentleman very, very carefully. And I'm going to give you a story, the birth of a discipline. We cost accountants call ourselves as accountants. But if you do not know the picture of this gentleman, perhaps our knowledge remains incomplete. The name of this man is Fra Luca Bartolomeo di Pacioli. This man lived under the sun from 1447 to 1517. That means roughly about 506 years before from today. 5 centuries before this man lived under the sun. Who is this man? This man is the first father, the father of modern accounting. He is the person, he wrote accountancy for the first time. He was a mathematician. He was a Christian monk of the order of Franciscan Friar. He is a Christian monk. He was a mathematician. He collaborated with Leonardo da Vinci in the age of Renaissance. And Mr. Da Vinci took mathematical lessons from Pacioli. Now, you can say, Dr. Basu, what is the relevance of talking about this story? Do you know how this man wrote the first book of accounting, which is called the foundation of accounting, even which is relevant today? He went from one shop to the other shop of Venetian merchants, and he kept on understanding empirically how Italian and Venetian merchants keep the hisab or accounts of their business and how they determine their day-to-day movements of money and day-to-day movements of goods and day-to-day cost incurred. And by that process, he wrote one chapter in his book of mathematics, and that chapter is the dedicated chapter for accounting. His book introduced the concept of journals, ledger, year-end closing, trial balances, cost accounting, and accounting ethics. You can tell me, and I have read the book of Kautilya's Arthashastra. You can tell me, Dr. Basu, Kautilya's Arthashastra is based on the Indian knowledge of much older times, maybe 1,000 years before, and I have written about that also in some of my articles. Then why Pacioli is the father of modern accounting? Believe me, he is, because he gave us the most structured and scientific method of writing our books of accounts and determining the results of business. What is the learning point from this story? Learning point from this story that this man, in a very simplistic manner, by moving from one shop to the other, picked up some knowledge of practice-oriented knowledge, which ultimately gave birth to a discipline called accountancy. It's a social science. It is based on economics. Mother of it is mathematics. But this man wrote about it, which made sense. And we, the students of finance, are continuing to study maybe another 500 years till a new theory comes in. People will continue to study accounting. So this is what should inspire us to read more, study more, and go to the practice orientation of the world. Now I will give you another part of critical thinking. We have two brains in our head. One is the left brain, which thinks of logic, sequencing, linear thinking, mathematics, analysis of facts, thinking in words. And we have the right brain. This is slide number 11. The right brains help us to imagine, holistic thinking, intuition, creativity, rhythm, nonverbal cues, feelings, visualization, and daydreaming. This visualization is, in artificial intelligence and today's data science, visualization has become one of the most important learning point, where trillions and zettabytes of data getting generated and processed by AI tools. Visualization of data by data scientists has become important. Right brain is important. If you are writing a research-based paper or you are writing a 2,000-word article, you will be definitely adding some statistical numbers, because either you prove your thoughts and the thoughts of others to statistics of, say, Statista or any world-renowned statistical organization which are freely available on reports, or publications of people like World Economic Forum or OECD or IMF or World Bank, which are authentic sources. But you, as an author of any article, you have to visualize the data, you have to reflect on the data, you have to understand the data, you have to bring out the internal message inside the data. So you can say, Dr. Vasu, why are you talking all this nonsense about right brain and left brain? Believe me, there are people who uses only the left brain, and there are people who only uses the right brain. Poets are users of right brain. Artists are mostly users of right brain. But when you write an article, you should be using both your left brain and right brain. Now you can say, Dr. Vasu, I can't see my brain, so how do I see right brain and left brain? What you need to understand is these functions which I have written underneath the left brain and underneath the right brain. When you write an article which is impactful, which is qualitatively improved, you should be thinking that, have I used my left brain? Have I used my right brain to the extent it is needed to be used for making my contribution or making the theme on which I am writing impactful and interesting to the readers? Maybe all the attributes of left brain and right brain may not be necessary for all the articles, but you should do a fact checking that have you applied yourself completely, and this particular will give you a fact checking. I'm on the 25th minute of my talk. I'll take another 10 minutes and close. So you can then ask me a question. How do we decide what we want, what is to be written? Suppose I want to be a writer. I want to write something. What I decide, I'm pondering over it, but I'm not finding. This kind of papers would help us. This is a publication of World Economic Forum, which talks about top 10 skills of 2023. Top 10 skills of 2023, what the industry, government, civil society and NGOs will require in you if you want to work with them for money or without money. Even if you are working pro bono without any remuneration for any NGO, you need some of these skills. First is analytical thinking, which I've already talked about. Creative thinking, I've also talked about. Resilience, flexibility, and agility. Agility is very important for you as a writer. Resilience and flexibility, you should be open-minded and you should be having resilience. Motivation and self-awareness. You should be having motivation. And this motivation should not come from money. It should come from your passion and love for the subject. Curiosity and lifelong learning. Technology literacy. Dependability and attention to detail. That's a cost accountant must have. Empathy and active listening. Leadership and social influence. And finally, quality control, which Mr. Murthy was talking about. So you can say, Doctor, that, okay, let me, all these 10 skills are required for a CMA today. Why not I pick up one of these skills and study and write? Yeah, that's one way of thinking. You have thousands of subjects to write upon, but if you are in a sense of bewilderment, what is to be written about, what is required by the readers of tomorrow or readers of today or young generation, come on, here is a list of 10 items which you can pick up and start writing. So your type of skill which you require is cognitive skill, self-efficacy, management skills, technology skills, and working with others, that is team building. So again, other than these 10, you can write on the skills also, but make it a point which I always pursue. Make the writing simple. When the Council of Institute of Cost Accountants of India gave me the task for writing the first 12 articles, they said that digital technology is moving ahead with overwhelming speed. Why don't you write something for CMAs, which will be very simple? And believe me, I have never sat for half an hour in any technology class, although I have a software in USA registered for patenting. You can find in my name that is available. If you say patent space Paritosh space Basu, you can find me as an inventor of a software. So you need not be a technologist to write on technical items. You need not be an economist to write on economics. And if you love the subject passionately, you can be another Steve Jobs. You can be another Rabindranath Tagore who didn't have structured knowledge inputs by a institutional system because Tagore never went to school after 8. So you can say, Dr. Vasu, you are on the completed 550 articles and you are saying half an hour you have not sat in a technical school. Answer is yes. So that's what happening in the world. And there are plenty of authors like this who write like this. My last 2 slides, what helps you to write better articles? And then I'll leave it open for discussion. Pondering over a theme or topic that you are most passionately attached. Mind the words which I have put in bold letters. Living with your thought for at least about a fortnight and thinking at all times available. The moment it came to your mind, please don't start writing. Live on the thought. जाते सोते traveling करते हुए कभी भी time मिलता है तो keep thinking about what is the matter bothering you most and what you want to write about. Before you start writing, research on past knowledge with a zero-based open mind that you don't know anything about it. First, research the genesis of the topic, where from it has come. When I wrote about drone as a technology, I read about in 18th century gas balloon, which is the first manless or humanless aerial vehicle, which travels in the air without a human being being there in the vehicle. And that is what is the genesis of a drone technology. Then you add scholarly paper. Any article which you write, it should have the supporting of any scholarly paper. That means those scholars have gone through empirical research or secondary research. Your article should have some mention of those scholars writing. Narratives on empirical research, findings, conclusion, impact, scope for more work. This should be searched out by you, because the scope for more work is the area where you can contribute. Then don't disrespect any view. Whatever you read, if you find that these are bloody useless writings, rubbish, never ever do that. Respect all views of all authors, all opinions of all authors. Put yourself in the perspective of the author and think of it. Even if you feel that it is really a rubbish one, please take the lesson from the rubbish paper. What mistakes the author has made? Do I make the same mistakes? If yes, 1 or 2 of them I make, I will correct it in my next article. Identify the perceived gaps in knowledge. Perceived gaps in knowledge is one thing, and scope for more work. Scope for more work is a researcher in his existing article writes that I have done this. I could not do this. In my own PhD research papers, I have written about transfer pricing, what should be done in future. So this is one, and you can yourself think of what has been done so far and what is the gap in knowledge. Then after doing all this, you structure your paper in such a manner and orchestrate the structure in such a manner as if you are creating a symphony. Symphony means sur, tal, and loy. That means you are creating a music which people will enjoy. There will never be a discord or a disconnection between the previous paragraph and the present paragraph. Identify what you yourself want to contribute to the body of knowledge, because unless this particular part is there, the article will be completely on borrowed knowledge. In every single article, you should contribute something of your own or dig out some knowledge from the world of knowledge. That means the article I wrote on treasury, I picked up 7 verses of Kautilya's Arthashastra, that is Chanakya, and wrote that through technology, how those 7 verses can be implemented in the world, which I presented in a conference of treasurers in Bombay. achieving self-satisfaction before thinking of getting the article published, which I talked about. Unless you are satisfied, never ever publish an article. Accepting the worst of the worst criticism and identify the mistakes which you have done from that criticism and improve in that article. This is my last slide. Identify the target readers, because your articles, writing, structure, contents would be changing if your target readers are different. If you are writing for students, you should be writing in certain manner. If you are writing for professionals with 5 to 20 years of experience, you should be writing in a different manner. If you are writing for kids, you should be writing in a different manner. If you are writing for an entire audience of 15 years to 85 years, you should be writing in a different manner. So you should identify your knowledge, your readers. Next is, think that you are a standard 7 student, literally, and make an English grammar book a permanent companion. I learned English grammar 4 times in my life. Once in school, second while teaching my daughter up to class 11, including Shakespeare. Third time when I did my PhD, my professor made me to read Warren and Martin once again. And the last time when I'm writing articles. Every day I open English grammar book. Next is, make dictionary the constant companion. Download the Oxford Dictionary or Webster Dictionary in your mobile phone. Make a journal, a small notebook of yours. Any new word you get, put it in your journal and think of how you can use that word, whether it is relevant for your writing. Keep it in mind. And when you are writing, automatically you will come to know about it. Never ever allow any opinion which you are writing directly without any change of word to be inserted in your article unless those are in italic fonts and inverted commas. And those portions which are in inverted commas and in italic words should not be more than 5 to 7% of your word count. Next is, when you are paraphrasing some borrowed knowledge, which of course you have to borrow, because when you are writing about previous knowledge or writing out what others have done, you should paraphrase in your own words. And with every paraphrasing, you should add now your own thinking, your own processes, your own thoughts, your own impacts, your own understanding, your own contribution, your own originality of thinking. Or like I talked about 1000-year-old Kautilya's 500-year-old Kautilya's Arthashastra, where you wrote about 2000 years back, the ancient Indian way of thinking. You may be knowing that in Ramayana and Mahabharata, there is auditing and accounting, which I have written about in one of my articles. So either bring this kind of wonderful knowledge and correlate past with the present, and how the past can be incorporated in the present method of working, or give you something completely new. Your plagiarism test or similarity index text should not be more than 5%. When you write the introduction section, writing the introduction section is the most difficult task of any article. You should have a deep sense of what you are going to write subsequently. It could be possible that after writing the introduction section, when you write the main body of the article, you may have to revisit. So immediately after writing the introduction section of the topic, you should always think of what is the objective for which I am writing this article, what the readers are going to get out of it. So after introduction, write the objective. Don't write the conclusion ever before, and then keep writing the body of the article well structured. Then revisit the introduction, revisit the objective of what you have written, because there could be two possibilities. One, that you change the introduction and objective, because what you have thought you have done much better job, so you should change it. Or what you thought to write, you have written something different, good or bad, or you don't know. So that calls for a change of the introduction and the objective of the paper. So introduction section is the most difficult time, and spend about 25% time of your introduction section, which could be 10 to 15% of your total word count. Next comes when you write a subsequent section of any article, read the previous section twice. That means the sur, tal, and loy, that means the orchestration or creation of the symphony, will only be possible when you have a complete idea and complete resonance in your mind of what you have written before, so that the subsequent paragraph or section gives a link with that. You carry the theme with you till you conclude the paper. And finally, reading the first completed version of the article at least 3 times before submission. 3 baar padhiye, not less than 3 times. And these 3 times reading should be at least with a gap of 2 hours, and preferably in morning hours. Get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock, which I generally do, and read the article with completely fresh mind. When you do that, you may find that your article has come out as a rubbish. You have to rewrite it, or you have to substantially change the article. You have to read more before you finish the article. At times I delay the article. CMM Miss Chakravarti tells me, Dr. Basu, why are you late? I can't tell her, because like a mother feels the labor pain to give birth to a child, you as an author should feel the labor pain to give birth to an article. So you must be passionate, sincere, dexterous, and spend the required time before you finish an article. And finally, never ever use generative AI. Don't even open that software for writing any article, and also for reading any knowledge base, because I personally feel that open generative AI is bad. Well circuited generative AI is good, but some other day I'll talk about generative AI. Of course, I have already written an article on generative AI. I mean to say ChatGPT and Bard and Scribe, etc. Never ever touch that software, you as an author. It will spoil your writing. I don't believe, and good authors never ever do that, and I have not heard any good author taking the help of generative AI. I thank you so much, and I stop it here. I thought I will share with you 1 minute that readers are waiting for you. There is a proof of it. You can see the screen of mine. Indrakshi, can you see the screen of mine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just 1 minute. There are readers all around the world. People are hungry for knowledge. I want to share a statistics with you about my 50th paper. This particular paper, within 48 hours of my sharing through LinkedIn, 6,909 people have given their impression, reactions 103, comments 13 people, and 11 people have reposted. And these are the countries and cities: Amman, Cairo, Dalhousie in Canada, France, Georgia, Brazil, Vancouver, Canada, Kenya, London, Boston, Nairobi, New York, Ecuador, Cairo, Luxembourg, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Kuwait City, Sao Paulo, Cairo, then Thailand, UAE, Egypt, Canada, Mexico. So about 26 countries, 19 countries and 26 cities. These are the kind of people who have read. I'm not talking about India, I'm talking about the overseas countries. So Institute's journal, through this 50th article of mine, has at least reached, Institute must be reaching hundreds of countries. But me as an author, I'm happy to say that my article has reached, at least drawn attention of people from 19 countries who has either reacted to my paper or reshared that paper. Most importantly, reshare is important. A gentleman in LinkedIn, a responsible professional in LinkedIn, will only reshare your paper if he thinks that his own network will be benefited from the article of others which is resharing. So please be careful and be encouraged that there are readers waiting for you. And these readers are hungry for knowledge. Thank you very much indeed. I stop here sharing and I'll look for the questions from you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation, sir. Thank you, sir. So we have many questions asked by our members.
Yeah, please.
When an author he has to choose an article, which works best, quantity or quality?
I would prefer that if the person present in this, he can open his video and ask me this question. But according to me, quality is important than quantity. One article, if you write the best, can win you Nobel Prize. But that article should be of quality. Quantity is, it is not a, quantity is a run-of-the-mill kind of stuff, brings the feeling in us. So quantity is important for you to be a world-renowned author and vastly read author. But quality is the first criteria of you to be an author, not quantity. Next question.
Thank you, sir. Which articles are people more likely to read at the end, to the end of shorter posts or longer essays?
This is a controversy. And CMA, Madam Sucharita Chakraborty always tells me, write short, write short, write short. I started writing with 1,500 or 1,000, and now my articles are sometimes 5,000 and sometimes 3,000. See, it is up to you. Any article should not be more than 3,500, 3,000. Ideally, it should be 2,500. But it is up to you. If you are writing some very special knowledge, and if you can hold on to the attention of readers, an article should not be more than 3,500. Ideally, it should be between 1,500 to 2,000 words. That is my feeling. But suppose you are writing tokenization and fragmented ownership, where you have to introduce blockchain, you have to introduce use cases, you have to introduce the technology, you have to introduce the merits and demerits, you have to introduce statistics. Then of course you need some space, otherwise the article remains incomplete. You have to do the equilibrium between the knowledge content and the requirement of an article becoming self-comprehensive. So, and again, it depends upon your own skill. But you should maintain one thing, that your English should be very good. You should have Grammarly or the latest version of Word, MS Word, so that your system gives you an intelligent editorship. So if your English is good and your article content is good and the knowledge sharing is done or information infotainment is done, you can go up to maximum 3.5. Otherwise, 2,000 is perhaps you should limit yourself to, including bibliography and bibliography.
Okay, sir. CME Uma Suresh member, he has asked that he has started
Why do we
writing
not
articles.
encourage people to ask the question themselves? Still
They are-
219 attendees I can see.
They are asking, sir, in the question answer box, sir. They are putting their
Okay.
questions, sir.
So at least they should react whether my answer is complete or something more they want. Yes, carry on, Indakshi.
Yes, sir. So he has started writing articles on the subject of his passion. So how do he get them evaluated for improvements? He's wanting that guidance.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, when you have written an article yourself, keep it in storage for 1 month, and after that you yourself open it and read it and see whether you yourself feel that it has got a lot of gaps or mistakes. This is one way of doing it. Give it to some of your friends who are knowledgeable on the subject and say, please criticize my article. Third way of doing is that publish as an article in LinkedIn, as an article, not a post. But there is a point that if you publish an article in LinkedIn, then the copyright of the article goes to LinkedIn. So you should be careful about it. You can do that. I have also done that in the beginning. You get a lot of criticisms and a lot of points from there. That is another way of doing it. Another way, last way of doing it, give it to a publisher. Submit it to the institute and ask the institute, I am submitting it essentially for publication, but I will be more interested to know what are the mistakes you find in my article? What are your points and criticisms in that? The moment you do that with an honest confession that you want a feedback, then I'm sure the editorial staff of the institute will share with you their viewpoints on this article. But the best way of doing it, giving it to your friends who are more knowledgeable than you and ask them to criticize it.
Thank you, sir. So how can we connect innovation with interest and discipline? CMA Choiti Bishas.
Sorry. How
can we connect innovation with interest and discipline?
Innovation and discipline.
Innovation with interest and discipline.
Okay. My personal feeling is innovation comes from two ways. One is your interest and idea about innovation come from two sources. One is your own workplace, where you work. Keep on searching about contributions, innovative contributions done by your own colleagues in various disciplines of your company or your workplace. And the second is read extensively about innovation. Extensively, which I personally do. When you keep reading about innovation, reading about new use cases, you yourself get a habit of reading beyond the article. Like there are 112 unicorns in India today, maybe more now. Kuch nahi to you read about these unicorns. $1 billion startup values. You will get, they have become a startup to unicorn because of only innovation. So you have a repository of knowledge about unicorns. In fact, in one of my articles, I have written about 42 unicorns in one of my past articles published by the Institute. You will get to know innovation, right? This is one way of getting the use cases and getting the fundamentals of innovation. You read innovation articles, then you will know about it. There is no substitute of reading, no substitute of reading. Reading makes you a knowledgeable man. Then only you can practice by writing. Yes, carry on, Indakshi.
Yes, sir. Better articles, useful tips.
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
What helps better articles? Means the useful tips for better articles.
I have given you today.
Okay, sir. So
that is my
so
thought process. So I couldn't write
Yes,
more
sir.
and give more. So when Institute publishes this video, you can jolly well again revisit the video. I have one more request. You can connect with me through LinkedIn, and all of you can visit my personal YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and write Dr. Paritosh Basu. You get my channel. Subscribe it and listen to what I have spoken about, and also read the articles and see what I have written today in the next video when Institute publishes. That is what I can contribute from my experience.
So we have many questions, sir. So we are taking this as the final one, due to constraint of our time.
Yeah.
So can we check various websites and books and create an article as summary of the information If we are doing so, will that be counted as plagiarism?
Okay. There is a new software coming in, has already come in, and which is a new way of writing research paper is studying existing research papers and then concluding it. If you go to Google Scholar, this kind of articles are available. Suppose you have studied 100 articles on a subject, then you can write about the area on which these 100 articles have been written, the process they have followed, and the conclusions they have drawn. Now, the first two sections, you need not borrow anything from them because you have yourself read, so you can yourself write. Coming to the conclusions, conclusions are generally short. Some of the conclusions you can paraphrase, and some of the conclusions you can put under inverted comma. The moment you put anything under inverted comma in italics, you will not be considered to plagiarize it. And you are, of course, giving the bibliography and bibliography of it. So this new avenue has been opened in the world of knowledge of studying articles and then writing about those.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
We have come to the close of the session now. So I would request CMA Sucharita Chakraborty Madam, Additional Director and HOD of her Journal and Publications, for the vote of thanks. Our Chairman,
You are
sir.
muted, Mr. Murthy. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the excellent, nice presentation. You have covered Newton's apple to Steve Jobs' apple till today. You have covered everything in the area. And borrowing from you, I always borrow things from other, quoting, thanking them. Borrowing from you, think. The word think, according to me, T stands for think, H, write with heart, I, insightful things, and NH, novelty, KH, knowledge. Friends, readers, please read. Readers are waiting for you. If you are a reader will wait for you. If you're not a reader, nobody will wait for you. If you are a reader, please read as much as you can, and readers are waiting for you. I will tell, and you have told one more principle: passion, perseverance, and patience. That makes you more knowledgeable, more reachable. I have submitted my PhD submission to my guide. The guide had told me, Mr. Murthy, your report looks like audit report. Only one single word, Mr. Murthy, you have done good work, but entire thing looks like audit report. Please rewrite. You know the again how much difficult to rewrite. Means kindly be careful. I will tell one more again, taking example from Mr. Ramayanam. There are 300 versions of Ramayanam in the country as well as outside the country. 300 versions. Only one Mula Ramayanam is written by Valmiki, but 300 versions all over the world, and there are 60 movies picturized in the name of Ramayanam. TV Ramayan is viewed by 65 crores people in the world. Why? Not because of devotion, not because of bhakti, because the way how we picturize is impress everybody. It is no doubt subject with due regard to Rama, but how we has picturized the TV Ramanand Sagar's TV, 65 crores people have seen. Yesterday, in fact, today, those Ramayana, Sita and Lakshmana went into Ayodhya, actors. They are felicitated by the Ayodhya people there. That means the impression, the novelty, with similarly using left and right brains. Use both the brains to impress the audience. And please, you are the right person. You are the right observer, Mr. Paritosh. You ek mahine ke baad fill visit karo, you will find all your mistakes. Normally in examination, the moment you come out of examination hall, you will recollect the answer. वो 3 घंटे में आपको कुछ समझ नहीं आया था. You will not recollect the answer. You will forget it. Once you come to house, this is the answer, but I could not write. Similarly here also. self-evaluation. And don't assume that a reader knows the short tickets. Many people will use short tickets. Don't use short tickets. You should never use short tickets. Think that the reader does not anything. Think that it does not anything. You don't use the short tickets, and you can always have good strength. Kindly contact sir, with your permission, we will circulate this presentation to our members. Dear sir, we will circulate this PPT to our members for more their benefit. And thank you, a big thanks to you. And first thanks to Madam for drawing you, and for you for your utmost practical tips to all the young community of the fraternity who will submit now. Very many thanks on my personal behalf and behalf of the committee. We will still invite you for more lectures to come, and also you are most welcome to help us, guide us for the younger community. Thanks, sir. Now over to Madam.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, our chairman, sir. So I would request now CMA Sucharita Chakraborty madam, our HOD madam, for the vote of thanks.
Namaskar, Namaste. Today is 19th, but still wishing all a year filled up with love, happiness, and healthy new year. We express our gratitude towards Chairman for his encouragement, for his generous support to us. My heartfelt thanks to CMA Dr. Paritosh Basu sir. For it is not a webinar, it is a class lecture to me, and I feel that for all of us. How we can write an article? This is a question. We are willing to write one article, but how? First of all, so far I understood combination of two, that is left brain and right brain. On one hand, we have to use the logic. Other hand, we have to express our feelings, our imaginations, our creativity. Sir, thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I also express my thanks to all of our team members for their cooperation and support. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Namaste.
Let me thank Indrakshi for comparing the program and her help to me.
Thank you, sir.
So in Sanskrit, which means Sabyasachi, the man who does two things simultaneously. Today we have with us Mr. Paritosh, who is as a good writer and as a good orator also. People who how to speak, one can learn from him. One is how to write articles, that is the basic objective. Apart from the bonus is how to make a presentation, how to be a good speaker, how to be good. Thanks to Mr. You have fulfilled two things today to us.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is mine.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Paritosh Basu, sir. Thank you,
Namaskar.
chairman, sir. Thank you, madam. And our
My
team
thanks
members.
goes to the audience for their patient
Yes,
hearing.
thanks
Yes,
to
yes.
the participants for interacting so well with us today. So we are closing the program for today. Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye.
much. Thanks to all of you.
See you through LinkedIn.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes,
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.